We treat cleanliness like a moral report card. We've been conditioned to believe that a tidy home is a badge of adulthood, something you earn through grueling discipline. But on the flip side, we're told a messy room is a symptom of a character flaw, like it's proof that there's something wrong with who you are. It's treated like a performance you put on for guests, a standard you have to meet just to prove you aren't falling apart. But if you look at the way neat people actually think, you'll find something that sounds like a conspiracy. They aren't cleaning to be good. They're cleaning because it makes them feel safe. They aren't obsessed with lemon spray. They aren't trying to impress a mother-in-law or satisfy an internal drill sergeant. They're just protecting their peace of mind from all the noise. We're going to strip away the shoulds and look at the one psychological shield that turns a chaotic room into a mental sanctuary. And we're going to explore why, if you're currently paralyzed by clutter, you've been fighting the wrong war. There is one specific gear in this machine that, if turned backward, makes the mess feel like a physical weight on your chest. We'll get to that in a moment.
If you search for answers, experts will bury you in big words. High conscientiousness, executive dysfunction, that's just academic noise. It's designed to keep you from seeing the simple truth. They'll tell you that you just need a better routine, a fancy planner, or more willpower. But that's a lie we tell to feel better. It suggests that if you just tried harder, the laundry wouldn't feel so heavy. It ignores the reality that sometimes life is just heavy. If you're using every drop of energy to manage a chronic illness, a high-stress career, or a roommate who treats the kitchen like a combat zone, being told to be disciplined is an insult. It doesn't account for the days when your mental battery is empty before you even open your eyes. The truth? Cleanliness isn't a chore. It's a gift to your future self. It's about anchoring your space so the version of you who wakes up tomorrow has one less dragon to slay. It's about creating a world where your brain can actually rest instead of constantly looking for unfinished business.
Think of your brain like a radio. Every piece of clutter you see is a static signal. You might not be looking directly at that pile of mail, but your brain is still hearing it. In psychology, this is known as the Zeigarnik Effect. Our brains are hardwired to remember unfinished tasks more than finished ones. Every chore you haven't done is an open loop, dragging on your focus. It's like an app on your phone that stays open in the background, slowly sucking your battery dry. When your room is chaotic, your brain is trying to listen to its favorite song while 10 different people scream at you. One is pointing at the dishes, another is yelling about the floor, a third is reminding you that you're out of groceries. It's exhausting. Even if you think you've tuned it out, your brain hasn't. This is basically biological warfare. Studies show that messy environments spike your cortisol, the hormone that makes you feel stressed. Your brain views a mess as a problem it hasn't solved yet. It stays in a state of fight or flight until that signal is muted. People with clean houses aren't neat freaks. They just have a very low tolerance for that static. They've realized it's easier to spend 5 minutes muting the noise than it is to spend 5 hours trying to relax in a room that's screaming at them. They aren't working harder. They're just keeping their internal computer from lagging. They understand that a clear floor leads to a clear thought. It's about managing the space before the space starts managing you. But here is where things get messy. What about when the mess isn't yours? This is where the psychology of shared spaces breaks most of us. If you're cleaning up after a partner or a roommate, you feel like a servant. You feel a surge of anger because it feels like a power struggle. You think, why should I do their work? If I clean this, I'm telling them it's okay to be lazy. You're turning a sink full of dishes into a battle for your dignity. You think you're standing up for yourself by leaving the mess there. But in reality, you're just letting their habits hijack your peace of mind.
Clean people look at this differently. They don't clean for the other person. They clean because they refuse to let someone else's static pollute their radio. It's not cleaning behind them, it's protecting your own perimeter. You wouldn't let a stranger scream in your ear just because they refuse to be quiet. You'd walk away or put on noise-canceling headphones. Cleaning a shared kitchen is just putting on those headphones. It's a selfish act in the best way possible. You are reclaiming your view so you can think clearly again. You are choosing your own sanity over a point of pride that only ends in a headache. Now, if you feel paralyzed when there's clutter, that's not a weakness. It's a signal that your brain is already at 99% capacity. This is decision fatigue. Every object you see requires a tiny microscopic decision. Should I move this? Where does it go? Why is it here? When you're already at your limit because of work, health, or family stress, adding one more dirty plate feels like a system crash. The mountain of mess becomes a symbol of your inability to cope. This is where the anxiety kicks in. The pressure to be organized feels like another weight on a back that's already broken.
You aren't failing at cleaning. You're just struggling to handle the thousands of tiny decisions your room is asking you to make. The fix isn't cleaning the house. That's too big. That's trying to rebuild a city when you only have the energy to fix one brick. When we look at a whole room, our brains see one massive threat. We see the mess, and the mess is terrifying. The fix is micro closures. Don't look at the mountain. Don't even look at the room. Just close one tab. Wash one bowl. Pick up one sock. Put one book back on the shelf. In computing, if a system is frozen, you don't try to run a new program. You force quit the one that's stuck. Each small action is a safety signal to your brain. It says, the world is predictable again. You aren't fighting the mess. You're manually turning down the volume of the room. There's a concept called externalized brain function. It's the idea that our environment is an extension of our minds. If your environment is chaotic, your internal world will mirror that chaos. Your brain has to work harder to filter out the noise.
When you perform a micro closure, you aren't just tidying, you're offloading work from your brain. You're telling your nervous system that you are back in control, 1 square inch at a time. This isn't about deep cleaning. It's about sensory management. It's about creating a small pocket of order where your brain can finally stop looking for threats and just breathe. Think about how you feel when you finally sit down in a room where everything is in its place. That feeling of relief isn't just about the work being done. It's your brain finally shutting down the background apps it was running to keep track of the clutter. It's the sound of the static finally cutting out. Clean people haven't mastered the art of cleaning. They've mastered the art of resetting the room. They know that the 5 minutes they spend at night putting things away is an investment in how clear they'll feel the next morning. It's a vow they make to themselves. I will not let yesterday's noise ruin tomorrow's focus. So next time you see a tidy space, don't think discipline, think safety. It's not magic, and it's not perfection. Perfection is a trap that leads back to anxiety. This is about utility. It's a shortcut to keep your brain from freezing up.
Your environment is the hardware your mind runs on. If the hardware is clogged with dust and junk, the software, your thoughts, your creativity, your joy, won't run smoothly. By keeping it clear, you aren't just being neat. You're optimizing your life for clarity and genuine rest. You're acknowledging that you deserve a space that supports you instead of one that demands something from you. It's about giving yourself the gift of a quiet mind so you can actually use your energy for things that matter. It's about turning down the world's volume so you can finally hear yourself think.